I believe that the Lord God created the universe.
The show is about two Mormon missionaries. When Mormons basically get out of high school, many of them go on a 2-year mission to proselytize and spread the word. And they go all over the world, and they're paired up. And so the show is about two Mormon boys from Utah who end up in a war-torn, famine-stricken part of Africa. And hilarity ensues. And songs ensue.
That's it.
Yeah.
The musical ensues.
Yeah.
Why the Mormons?
The Mormons, actually, our fascination with Mormons goes back to probably even junior high school. I mean, we grew up in Colorado, which is right next to Utah, so there's a lot of Mormons even in our state. So we knew a lot of Mormon. My first girlfriend was Mormon. Like, we always knew of them and knew their stories and knew, not just what their religion was, but their story in terms of being this whole thing born in America and then them pioneering across the states and getting to Salt Lake City, which was their paradise. And all of that was just always so fascinating to us that it always ended up a little bit in everything we did. Our first feature we did together, and then another feature, and then in South Park it would just keep kind of popping up. And we always thought we wanted to do one big Mormon thing, and this was it.
Hello, my name is Elder Price.
This show was written first as an album. And we did that for a couple we did it because we needed some kind of deadline. If we just got in a room all the time and said, let's work on this thing we might do someday, we'd end up going out to lunch and not doing it. So we got together with Bobby and we said, you know what, let's just make an album, because we're musicians and we've recorded lots of songs. We know how to do that. I have a studio in my house, so that's what we would do is we'd get together and we'd sit there and we'd talk about the story. We're like, oh, there could be a song like that. Yeah, maybe something like that. And we'd start getting out a little tune, and Matt would jump on the drums, and then Bobby and I both play piano, but then I'd get on a mic and just start throwing out hooks. And then we'd all just play it like a band, and then we'd work the song, so that at the end of a day or two, we'd be like, that's a good song, let's keep this song, this is a good idea. And the song started to dictate where the story was going, which was, we also knew, so important, because we wanted to us a good musical is one where if you remove the songs, the story doesn't make sense anymore.
Hello, my name is Elder Young. Hello, did you know that Jesus lived here in the USA?
Yeah, the show really isn't like, we never really thought it was that we were just slamming the Mormons. I mean, we're obviously having fun with some of their stories, because to an outsider, their stories are pretty goofy. But we used Mormons to try to talk about religion, and the Mormon, like Trey said, the aesthetic of Mormons dovetails with the musical theater almost so perfectly that it's like seamlessly, you just within 10 seconds you go, oh yeah, of course they're singing and dancing. And I don't know if that's true with every religion, But also we really like Mormons. We never really set out to just make fun of Mormons. At the end, they sort of, win the day.
And so how do you judge? How do you judge when a gag's in, when a gag's out?
I mean, that is what we do a lot in writing. And when we write South Park, that's something we talk about a lot. When we wrote Book of Mormon with Bobby Lopez, and the three of us would sit around and we would maybe come up with a joke, and you kind of knew, like, oh yeah, that's kind of the direction we're going, because we're telling a story about two boys who grew up in a coddled existence in Utah, and now they're sent to a place with really bad problems. Well, that means you have to talk about the really bad problem. If we're joking about something, if we're going to make light, and have fun with something, serious subject, we have to earn our way there. Meaning it has to be organic to the story, meaning that when you get there, you're like, of course it had to be that. Of course.
And a Mormon just believes.
I mean, the first 3 or 4 songs were written right over here.
Yeah.
And then we took those back, and they sat on a shelf for a few months, and then we got back into it. But
I remember working on it a little bit, and then going to see Avenue Q on the West End, and kind of like thinking in my head, like, God, this could be us one day. Maybe our show could be successful. We could actually end up here. But of course, I'd always be like, okay, you're getting way ahead of yourself. Right. Like, probably won't even last a year, but or if you even get it up. So
it's corny, but England is kind of the motherland to us as far as comedy. Yeah. It's totally corny. It doesn't make any sense. But just because we met over a love of Python, Blackadder, and the stuff that we saw when we were teenagers, we still think about it that way.